Hello, my name is Brooke Michael, and I am one of the advisors at the University of Michigan Flint School of Nursing. And we want to welcome you today to our presentation on the University of Michigan Flint's Master's in Nursing and our doctoral program in nursing, our MSN and DNP programs. So let's start off with some employment statistics on the different fields in which you can study in our MSN and DNP programs. So we're starting off with the family nurse practitioner. As you can see there, there's always a high demand and a high growth for our MSN and DNP nurse practitioners and family. And the average starting salary for a nurse practitioner across the United States is around $90,000. For the adult gero acute care, this is one of our most high demand programs. This program has a 52% growth rate increase by the year 2029. So there's going to be a growing need for acute care adult gero nurse practitioners. And that average pay across the United States is starting off at around $111,000. We have our psychiatric nurse practitioner, and that program also is super high demand at 26% from now and through 2028. It also has an average salary of around $115,000. And finally, we have our nurse educator. As you can imagine, a lot of our nurse educators are retiring, so there's a great need for that program as well. We have a growth rate of about 18% over the next 10 years. And the average pay at a university or a college is around $90,000. And in a hospital is $119,000. And just to give you a little comparison on all of these, the regular or the average growth rate of jobs across the United States is only right around 4%. And so as you can see, there's a really high need for all of these different types of nurse practitioners. So now that you know you want to be a nurse practitioner or a nurse educator, why do you choose the University of Michigan Flint for your program? So to start with, let's talk about our faculty. So our faculty are dedicated faculty working in the fields. So they have real working knowledge. They work really closely with our students on research projects, and a lot of times end up publishing with our students. The other thing is that they are available to you. They know that you are a working nurse or you have family and life commitments. And a lot of times they'll provide you with office hours that are outside the normal realm. So they have evening and early morning appointments to try to help meet you where you are. The other thing to keep in mind is it is a University of Michigan degree. So I know sometimes it throws students off because it says University of Michigan Flint. Do not let that throw you off. You are still a University of Michigan student. You have the same diploma if you went to Ann Arbor, Dearborn, or Flint, and you're in the same alumni groups with the same alumni benefits. And the other thing is that University of Michigan name is going to carry with you nationally. So no matter where you go, people are going to know you are a well-educated nurse practitioner or nurse educator, and that's going to really help out when you're looking at jobs. We are ranked number one. We are ranked in the United States as one of the best online MSN and DNP programs in the country. And so, as I said, if you go anywhere for a job, they're going to know that you were well educated in your program. We are online, so our classes are online. And so you will be able to we'll talk about on other slides, but your clinicals in your area, but your classwork is all done online at your convenience. And then we are accredited by the CCNE. That is important, again, showing how our program is meeting those CCNE accreditation standards, which are a higher standard and will also reflect on your education. And then when you complete any of our MSN or DNP programs, you will be able to set for the accrediting or respective exam for the program you have participated in. And then also we have an 86 to 100% pass rate in all of our programs, graduate programs, and certificates. And that's on the first attempt. And our clinical practicums are completed close to home. So you only have to come to Flint on an average of about 3 to 5 times a year, depending on which program you're in. And normally it's about a checkoff or maybe an orientation. But other than that, all of your clinical coursework will be done online, but all of your clinicals will be done in your area. And we have a clinical coordinator that helps find clinical placement in your area. So let's talk about the different fields you can go into at the University of Michigan Flint. We have 2 in our master's. We have nurse educator and family nurse practitioner. In our BSN to DNP, we have 4. We have acute care gero nurse practitioner. We have primary care adult gero nurse practitioner. We have family nurse practitioner and psychiatric nurse practitioner. We also have a certificate in those different areas. So if you get your MSN and then you want to be certified in those areas, we do have certificate opportunities for you. But if you know you're wanting to go into one of those areas, it's always going to be better to do that BSN to DNP track because you can specialize in those areas. We do have an MSN to DNP program. And that is completely online for those students that already have their clinical masters in nursing and want to do the DNP. And then we have an MSN in to DNP in executive leadership. So let's talk about our MSN in family nurse practitioner. It is 47 credit hours. We do, as I mentioned before, it is online coursework with minimal campus visits. We have a part-time and a full-time track. Full-time is going to look like around 1 year to 8 months, and part-time is around 2 years to 8 months. And as I mentioned before, those clinical courses are arranged in your area, and we set you up to be successful in a DNP program. So let's talk about the nurse educator. So our nurse educator is around 42 credit hours. Again, we have a part-time and a full-time option. The full-time is going to be between 1 year and 8 months to 2 years. And the part-time is between 2 years and 8 months and 3 years. So let's talk about the admissions requirements for the MSN, either family nurse practitioner or nurse educator. So you do need your BSN from an accredited college or university with a 3.2 on a 4.0 scale. You do need your RN license in the United States. It doesn't have to be in Michigan, but it does need to be in the United States. And you do need a college level statistics class with a grade of a C or better. So you can apply prior to taking that statistics class, but statistics does need to be completed before you start into graduate level coursework. So for example, we're going to talk about those extended deadlines down there in the next bullet point. If you're applying to start in January term and you are meeting that application deadline of August 1st for this January 22 start, you cannot have statistics done or not completed by August 1st, but you would need to take it this fall semester to be able to start in January 22. It would be a contingent admissions upon you completing that statistics class. Now, it doesn't matter how long ago you took statistics or even which statistics you took, as long as it was college level, has the word statistics in it, 3 credits or more, and a C or better. Then, as I mentioned before, we do have some extended deadlines. We have August 1st for our January 22 start for the family nurse practitioner. And if you're interested in the nurse educator, it starts January of 22 and has an extended deadline of November 15th. If you're wanting to start in January of 23, the next deadline would be, of course, June 1st of 22. So let's talk about our nurse practitioner program and our doctorate. We're going to talk about the 4 tracks at the top you see for the BSN to DNP program. Again, those are where you get to specialize in one of those areas. This is designed for students who are wanting to go into more of a leadership role. We do have full-time and part-time tracks again. Full-time is going to look like 3 years and 4 months, and part-time is going to look like 5 years to 4 months. It is between 67 and 78 credits, depending on which track you choose. Again, online class format with minimal campus visits, and again, clinical is coordinated in your area. So let's talk about real quick before we move on to the next slide, why, if you're a BSN nurse, you should do the DNP instead of the MSN. So for our students out there that are planning on practicing in the field more than 10 years as a nurse practitioner, we highly recommend doing the BSN to DNP track. Now, I know that's a little bit more of a time commitment, so a lot of times students are like, I can't do it. But if you're going to be practicing in the field more than 10 years, just so you know, the field is moving towards the DNP. Right now, the legislation allows nurse practitioners to be an MSN or DNP. And if you graduate with that, you will always be grandfathered in. You'll always be able to be a nurse practitioner with an MSN, but the jobs are also leaning towards that DNP. So there may be more jobs out there or opportunities that you're wanting that are going to be requiring the DNP. So keep that in mind. If you're planning on being in the field more than 10 years, we highly recommend thinking about doing that BSN to DNP instead of the BSN to MSN. So MSN to DNP, so this is for those students, like I said before, have a clinical master's degree, a clinical master's in science, MSN, in any of those fields, but it does need to be a clinical one. We do have full-time and part-time tracks available for that. It's going to be between 28 and 31 credits, and all the coursework will be completed online. You can also take one of our certificates concurrently with that. So if you wanted to do the adult gero acute care, or if you wanted to do our nurse educator certificate along with your MSN to DNP, there is an opportunity for that. We also offer a dual DNP and MBA option for those students that think that maybe they want to start their own practice, or they would like to have some business knowledge behind that. We do have a dual DNP and MBA track, an option for students. And this is where you have 15 credits that are applying to both that dual MBA and DNP program. So DNP admissions requirements. So this is just for the DNP. We already talked about MSN admissions requirements. This is DNP. So you do need your current nursing license. Again, it can be in any state, whatever state you're practicing in. We do not require the GRE. We prefer you have 1 year experience as a nurse, but again, not required. And for the BSN to DNP, you need to have a 3.2 on a 4-point scale in your BSN program. And for the MSN to DNP, as I mentioned before, you need to have your advanced practice nursing license. And so we're going to talk a little bit more. There's only one track that has more requirements than just these. So all of the other BSN to DNP or MSN to DNP, these are the requirements to get in. But if you want to do the BSN to DNP acute care or our certificate in acute care, we do have some additional requirements for that one. You do need 1 year of full-time experience in a critical care unit, and you'll see those different options down below where you could work. You also need ACLS and BLS training, certification in that before you can apply. So let's talk about your DNP application deadlines. So the MSN only ever starts in a January term. So always keep that in mind. It's only a January start for MSN. So January 22 or January 23, but there is no other term starts. With the DNP, that's what we're talking about now. There are 3 times a year start: fall, winter, spring, that you can start in. Fall is going to start, this upcoming semester will start August 30th. If you want to start in this fall, you need to have everything turned in by August 1st. If you've missed that deadline, then the next start date would be winter, which would be a January start. And that would need to have everything turned in by November 1st. And then if you wanted to start to a spring semester, which would typically be in a May term, that would have everything turned in as on March 15th. So let's talk about how to apply. So to apply to either the MSN or the DNP, you follow these steps. You're just going to visit our website at umflint.edu/apply. There is a $55 application fee. Now, if you attended one of our webinars, then you get a waiver code that's good for a week. I highly recommend going ahead and applying within that week so that you get that $55 waived. Even if you're not going to come till May, go in and apply now. All of the other things can be turned in at a later date, but at least the application is done and that $55 is waived. So then you'll click the first time user creation button and you'll pick graduate programs from the drop down menu. Now, these are the things that need to be turned in after you fill out that application. Now, remember, as I spoke about before, go ahead and get that application done as soon as you get the waiver code so that you get that fee waived. But but you have to have these things turned in by those deadlines we talked about before. For MSN, if you have time, you can get everything turned in August 1st to start January 22. Otherwise, June 22 to start January 23. That's for the MSN only. And then again, you saw those different deadlines for the DNP. That's when all of these things need to be turned in. For a fall start, you need to have everything turned in by August 1st. For a winter start, November, and for a spring start, March. So these are the things, these will be on the slideshow that's emailed to you along with, it's on the website. You see the link at the top. I'm not going to read everything to you, but I do want to highlight and point out a couple of things that are stumbling blocks for some students. Number one is the professional goal statement. It's like the fourth bullet point or fifth bullet point down. You do need to turn in a professional goal statement. You do want to make sure that it is 1 to 2 pages, typed and APA formatted. But the most important thing is you see those 4 bullet points right below. Those 4 bullet points, you need to make sure to speak to each and every single one of them in your goal statement. So a lot of times students just write a goal statement like these are my goals, and they don't look at the criteria in which we're looking. Each of those goal statements is assigned a certain amount of points. And if you skip that bullet point, you lose all those points. So make sure that you speak to each of those 4 bullet points before you turn in your goal statement. The other thing that throws off a lot of students is down there under the references. You do need to have 3 references. Now, what you will get confused on is there's 3 bullet points down below. That does not mean you have to have 1 reference from each of those bullet points. That's not what that means. What that means is that you need 3 total references, and they need to come from those bullet points. So you can have all 3 be faculty from a recent nursing program, or you could have 2 are faculty and one's a supervisor, or whatever combination you want. Just as long as they come from those categories, it's totally fine, and you need a total of 3. So let's talk about tuition and scholarships. The tuition is $712 per credit hour. And then we want to highlight the fact that we do offer a nurse faculty loan forgiveness program, which allows qualified students to get up to 85% loan forgiveness if they work as a faculty and or dedicated student preceptor after graduation. So keep that in mind. When you're looking at our program, that if you want to become faculty or preceptor, that can really help pay for your school. The other thing to keep in mind is we give away a lot of scholarships. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities out there. Please make sure to visit each of these websites and see which scholarship opportunities you may qualify for. Now, once you are admitted as an MSN or DNP student, your advisor will be Julie. You'll see her down below. If you want to speak to one of us before you are admitted and you just have some questions, you are welcome to book an appointment with me or Tiffany to talk about your program. So either way, if you are admitted or not, you would go to our website. The easiest way to get to it is online.umflint.edu and click that blue book an appointment button at the top of the screen. You'll see that as soon as it pops up, click that. And then if you've been admitted, it's going to say, are you a pre or post student, admission student? If you've been admitted, you would click post admission and then click MSN and DNP. And then you'll see Julie's name and her availability. And if you are a pre-admission, you haven't been admitted yet, you will click pre-admission and then the MSN and DNP, and then you will see one of us and find the time and date that works best for you. We are only offering phone and virtual appointments right now, but we will offer face-to-face appointments in Flint starting in about September. So if you prefer face-to-face, you're welcome to do that, but it won't be until September. Otherwise, we will always offer phone and virtual appointments. So we want to thank you so much for coming to our webinar today. That's the end of the presentation. If you have additional questions, feel free to email Julie, which was on the last slide, her email address, or myself who sent you this PowerPoint presentation. We thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your day.